Welcome back to Goat vs. Fish, pre the Dead Skeleton Show. Are you fish or are you goat?
Make some noise for the goat, make some noise for the goat. Make some noise for the goat, make some noise for the goat. Celebration Thunder Tracks. Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. Welcome again to Goat vs. Fish. This shall be a mighty versus. This is the current versus. This is the versus. Are you goat or are you fish? 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 This is the versus. Are you goat or are you fish? 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 Fish, goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? There should be a mighty versus. This shall be a mighty versus.
That was Goat vs. Fish, Twitch 96.3 by The Goat. Thunder Tracks available on Spotify, where you can find musications of Goat vs. Fish. Do you be goat or fish? Welcome once again to another living stream. Two living streams within a 27-hour period. Wow, Goat vs. Fish. 2 living streams. And here comes Goat vs. Fish. Here comes Goat vs. Fish. Welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. Welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. Welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. Yes, that's the power. That's the production power of Goat vs. Fish. And as a matter of verses, we have, fish. Oh, fish. Look at upside down fish. Come on, fish. Come on, fish. Get ready for verses, to properly versus the goat. We have one here. We have one here in the chat with the Goat versus Fish. We have 2 here in the chat with the Goat versus Fish. We have 2 here in the chat with the Goat versus Fish. 1 on Twitch, 1 on YouTube. We have Vedator. We have Vedator here. Hi, Vedator, who is starting off the verses with Goat. And celebration for Rotary Dial Bates, who follows Goat vs. Fish. And celebration to Scott from Canada, who says perhaps more. Scott from Canada, are you goat or fish? And 99999 LSD OCD on YouTube, yes, Goat vs. Fish, in both places, says, good evening, your highness. Goat vs. Fish isn't high. Goat vs. Fish isn't high on the fence. No, the lowly Goat vs. Fish just wants to know thee. The lowly Goat vs. Fish wants to know thee and wants to know, are you goat or are you fish, as Goat vs. Fish adjusts the audio equipment of Goat vs. Fish. It's being a bit fancy. Audio can be fancy. Audio can be fancy. This is known. This is a known versus. Roller of eyes. Roller of eyes. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Are we following and celebrating the show? The show. What show would that be? What show would that be? What show do you follow? What show do you celebration? Are you referring to the Dead Skeleton show with which Goat vs. Fish will be on? Oh, my verses. Why is this being so fancy? Are you referring to the Dead Skeleton show, Goat vs. Fish, that Goat vs. Fish will be on ever so soon, that Goat vs. Fish will be on? Have you ever just had a verses, one of those verses where your audio equipment, it's coming in the goat side, but not the fish? Goat, goat, goat. Fish, fish, fish. Oh, now it's coming in goat and fish. Now it comes in goat and fish. Still, it feels a bit. The Dead Skeleton show, yes. Goat vs. Fish will be on the Dead Skeleton show. And are we going to celebrate it? Well, they are welcoming Goat vs. Fish. And we'll see how they treat Goat vs. Fish. We think they'll be very welcoming to Goat vs. Fish. BBDH187 says, glug, glug, Goat vs. Fish. Sounds like a fish. Sounds like a fish. Sounds like a fish. You are Canadian. Goat vs. Fish has been to Canada. This is a known versus. So let's start the verses. Last verses, the goat did triumph. Here, as we know, donations, bits, tips, contributions, subscriptions to Goat vs. Fish as representation by magnets of goat and fish, and radiation points. Last verses, it was a total domination by goat. But this is a new verses. We start off with Vedator the goat. Celebration for goat. Vedator. How do you versus the fish? Let's start this verses. Scott from Canada says fish. Celebration for fish. How do you versus the goat? Roller of Eyes says a question for Goat vs. Fish. How does Goat vs. Fish community recognize the existence of the humble Capricorn? Now this is something of a question for Goat vs. Fish. Celebration the stereo, yes, we wanted coming in the goat and the fish side. BBDH1875 says fish. How does Goat vs. Fish, celebration for fish, how does Goat vs. Fish respond to the mythological Capricorn? Yes, this is a question almost as old as Goat vs. Fish. The Capricorn is certainly inspired by Goat vs. Fish when the ancient goat and fish looked up into the stars and wondered what is it that they are. They pondered all kinds of fanciful things. They pondered carbs, and they pondered Orions, and they pondered Geminids, and they pondered all kinds of fanciness as they tried to make sense of their universe, perhaps as you are trying to make sense of your universe even now. But they did see a Pisces, which is a fish, celebration for fish, and they saw the Capricorn, which is in many verses representation just as a goat. But we know that really it's a sea goat, a goat with the tail of a fish. Why it wasn't the head of a fish with the body of a goat? This is not known by Goat vs. Fish. We would love to speak to the ancient ones and say, why not the head of a fish and the body of a goat? But in any verses, they were attempting to perceive, perhaps they were perceiving the unification of goat and fish, the long-fabled unity of goat and fish. It is beginning to look a lot like Versmas, and we do know that around Versmas we do celebration, the unification of goat and fish. It does take a goat and a fish coming together to form the unity of goat-fish. No one creature can be both goat and fish, except, of course, Goat vs. Fish, because Goat vs. Fish is Goat vs. Fish, the goat-fish, the unity and disunity of goat and fish. But that's because Goat vs. Fish is Goat vs. Fish, and you are goat and fish, and you choose goat and fish, and are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or fish? The ancient ones were silly and perhaps unwise, perhaps, but Goat vs. Fish is the most ancient of all the universe, because in the beginning there was Goat vs. Fish. So if Roller of Eyes says the ancient ones were silly and perhaps unwise, then perhaps Goat vs. Fish is silly and perhaps unwise. Perhaps it is so. Psalm 1:1 says unification. Psalm 11, are you goat or are you fish? Are you goat or are you fish? 99 LSDOCD says goat. Let's get the second goat. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. Welcome to Goat vs. Fish. Mr. Hinklesworth says praise all the verses. Praise all the verses. Praise all the verses. Let's see your praise. Let's see your praise. Yes, Goat vs. Fish. We're going to put the Twitch chat here. The YouTube chat is also here with Goat vs. Fish. We want to see your praise for Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish isn't asking for your praise. It's Mr. Hinklesworth on YouTube who says praise all the verses. So why don't you do what Mr. Hinklesworth says, and why don't you praise all the verses? And all the verses are, of course, Goat versus Fish and Mr. Hinklesworth, are you goat or are you fish? Maniac Zach says, goat, fish, fisherman, goatified said for said fence. Maniac Zach, are you on the fence? Are you goat or fish? J-Stick says, hello, goat versus fish. Hello, J-Sticks, are you goat or fish? Everyone welcome. Yes, Roller of Eyes. Appreciation. Welcoming everyone to Goat versus Fish. And it looks like Roller of Eyes is saying goat and fish. It looks like Roller of Eyes might be on the fence. It might be a fancy situation for Roller of Eyes. It might be a fancy situation, but Mr. Hinklesworth says Team Fish, so let's get another fish in the verses. That's 3 fish. That's 3 fish in the verses. BBDH187 says, we want your declarations, not your praises. Are you goat or are you fish? No fence-sitting, please. BBDH wants your declaration. Don't praise BBDH. Don't praise the awesome BBDH 187. No. Just declaration. And celebration for fish. Roller of Eyes, celebration for fish. And Price Douglas Stevens is catfish. Fish off to an early lead this verses. Goat triumphed handily last verses. Let's get some whiskers on that catfish. Let's get some whiskers and some cat ears on that catfish. Price Douglas Stevens, the catfish. Roller of Eyes says, I will stand for my community as a crab. I will stand with my brothers as a fish. The fish. The fish. So you are a fish. We just want to be clear that you're not saying that you're a crab, that you're saying you're a fish. It is not for the stars to declare what it is that you are. Roller of Eyes. Is that fish? Is that fish? Is that fish? Psalm 11 goes fish. Psalm 11 goes fish. Psalm 11 goes fish. There has been a recent discussion about the Capricorn. Let's have a look at that verses. Aaron Kustakchin says, goat for me. Celebration for goat. Celebration for goat. That's 3 goat. 3 goat, 3 goat, and 5 fish. We're off to a great verses, and it's your first time chatting. Welcome to Goat versus Fish. Everyone, let's welcome Aaron Kustachin to Goat versus Fish. We wonder, no, that's a different Aaron that Goat versus Fish knows. Autumn Samurai says, celebration for the return of the verses. Celebration. Celebration for the return of the verses. Autumn Samurai, are you goat or are you fish? There you are, swinging your forged sword out in the falling orange leaves. Yes, Rain Felicia, welcome back to Goat versus Fish. And with a name like Rain, you can suspect fish. You can certainly suspect fish with a name like Rain. You can certainly suspect fish. After all, the rain is of the Sea of the Fish. And the Sea of the Fish, Goat versus Fish. And the Sea of the Fish, the Sea of the Fish. Well, that's where you can find fish. Rain Felicia, one of the oldest mods of Goat versus Fish. Welcome back to Goat versus Fish. And let's give you a bit of rain. Let's give you a bit of rain, Felicia. It's raining on Rain Felicia. It's raining on Rain Felicia. Fish poggers, says Autumn Samurai. Fish poggers, says Autumn Samurai. Goat versus Fish. Let's have a look at this verses. There's got to be some way. There's got to be some way to consistently get sound for Goat versus Fish. Sunnyvale Representation says, I was going shopping, but it's Goat versus Fish. You can go shopping and it's Goat versus Fish. Merchandising, advertising, it's a presently task. And to every fence-sitter we ask. Appreciations, yes, appreciations from Goat versus Fish. Appreciations from Goat versus Fish. Autumn Samurai goes fish poggers. The lead of fish continues to extend. Celebration for fish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fish, and 3 goat, and 3 goat. Yes. Shop no more, Sunnyvale Representation. Are you goat or are you fish? It used to be back in the verses. Sunnyvale, Goat versus Fish. What were you even called back in the verses? Sunnyvale Represent? Was it merely Sunnyvale Represent? So why do you choose goat? Why do you choose fish? Represent, yeah, goat, by the way. Sunnyvale Representation, goat, by the way. Finally a 4th goat. Finally a 4th goat. So yes, we have the Dead Skeleton Show on YouTube. The Dead Skeleton Show on YouTube is coming up soon. Is coming up in about 50 minutes. In about 50 minutes, we're going to be a guest on the Dead Skeleton Show. We met the Dead Skeleton Show at some convention long ago. And then we wandered into their YouTube living stream, and they had so much fun with Goat vs. Fish, and they said, hey, Goat vs. Fish, why don't you come back? Why don't you come back? Why don't you join our living stream, and Goat vs. Fish will do that. So we're just having a little warm-up here with Goat vs. Fish. King Cobra, welcome back to Goat vs. Fish. King Cobra, are you goat or fish? You don't think you've eaten goat before? Goat and fish are the two most popularly consumed meats in the universe. King Cobra goes fish. Celebration for fish. Let's see if we have our celebrations ready. Are the celebrations ready? These celebrations are ready. These celebrations are ready on Goat vs. Fish. These celebrations are ready. Yes, if you do not already, it's time for you. It's time for you to follow Goat vs. Fish on YouTube. And, of course, we are going to post now in the chat the link to the Dead Skeleton Show that will be going live at 6, and where Goat vs. Fish will be a guest. So why don't you pre-like the stream? Why don't you pre-like the stream for Goat vs. Fish? And while you're there, subscribe on YouTube to Goat vs. Fish. Wow, Mom celebration, welcome. Wow, Mom. Are you goat or are you fish? Goat vs. Fish. We have some skeleton goat and fish at the ready. But someone was bringing up Capricorns to Goat vs. Fish. So, Goat vs. Fish, we're going to show you a little verses that just came up. Let's go into Discord. So, as you may know, Goat vs. Fish was the MC of the Deep Fat Fried New Jersey meetup in November. Wow, Mama's Goat, celebration for Goat. And you bring 1 kid and 2 fry. That's an interesting verses. Wow, Mom Goat. Hey, kids. Hey, it's Goat vs. Fish. Goat vs. Fish is back. Goat vs. Fish has not forgotten about you. Merry verse miss. A mighty verse giving to you. Goat vs. Fish misses you. Goat vs. Fish misses you. Do you miss Goat vs. Fish? Do you miss the goat? Do you miss the fish? Goat vs. Fish misses you. Celebration for the new crown. No, this is the old crown of Goat vs. Fish. This is an old crown of Goat vs. Fish.